All right. Welcome, folks and community. This is the Dev Platform Update for July 15th. We're going to go over what has happened. There are no pictures in this one like last time, but we'll try to explain all the bullet points. So as usual, anyone can look at the Rust or non-Rust boards here that we're moving across. And we're going to go over what's been done and what is in progress. And I think we'll just take a little bit of time going through this. So there is something that maybe hasn't been announced on these meetings is we are going to be deprecating simulation tests. And this was historically the way that you test cross-contract calls. At some point when you're doing some sort of unit tests, which is another approach for like Rust, for instance, and you want to test cross-contract calls, it's really not possible. And maybe there's a crazy way to hack it, but that's not a good idea. So we had simulation tests. That wasn't exactly how a near node works. And so after a lot of discussion internally and with the community and everything, we decided that actually this thing called Sandbox is the better approach. And so I actually will jump over here into this and show what that looks like. So this piece of documentation is now live, and this is kind of in a little bit of like beta form where this is kind of like rough and dirty, but we look forward to like really adding some UX around this. But I wanted to give a sneak peek for this update. So you notice that in this very sort of manual guide, you clone near core. Near core is the repo for the near node. And typically, if you're not using Docker, you'd do like make release inside of the project directory. So now there is a feature flag. So you say make Sandbox, and that will make a binary that you can use. This kind of goes on to show a bunch of different instructions, but I will actually sort of go down to the real interesting part where you can patch state on the fly, which is neat. So this will be linked inside the description of the video, but essentially like down here, we just got this JavaScript file. And if you follow the directions, you can do stuff like, hey, I have this like status message smart contract, and then I'm going to push some records to it. What am I pushing to it? These records. And so this is a way to basically have like a mocked node, or like kind of like a smaller version of a node locally. And so this is a great way to like say, okay, if I have like a million records, how does it behave? That sort of thing. So this is kind of new and interesting, and this is kind of the future of how we see testing going. And again, we'll be deprecating sim tests. We may do some minor things like make the documentation a little bit more clear, stuff like that, but this is something interesting to look forward to. And that it encompasses this first bullet point. I will also point out that Bo, the same person who did the majority of work on this, also added some of this logic in JavaScript that you see in those instructions on docs into the Rust status message. This is available at near.dev. So you'll see that there's like a test.js, borscht.js. Maybe these things will move. I'm not going to promise that by the time you're watching this video, these are in the exact same spot, but there is like a super simple example of how you can start playing with Sandbox. All right. Serhi increased. Oh yeah, Serhi did increase the near CLI default gas to the maximum gas. This is a small change. And we have released and published to npm.js, the near CLI, near API.js. Here are links to both of the release tags, so you can see what commits were brought in and what has changed. And Serhi was actually able to increase his age by 1 UNT8 since last week. So that was a great job from him. Multi-token standard. This is a community-led effort by Zane Starr, and this went really well. I can't remember if this actually happened in the last 7 days, but I'm sure that I did not report on this. And so I want to make this clear to everyone watching the video, stakeholders and whatnot, that we are still very interested in having token standards, especially things like ERC 1155-ish multi-token standards in there. And this was a good summary of what happened during this meeting. A lot of it was like, do we want like a multi-fungible token standard, or like sort of like open-ended, which is what 1155 is. So check this link out if you're interested in that. On the Rust side, yes, there were a couple of PRs that had a lot of great discussion around them that Fong started, and they turned into 2 PRs here. Those are merged. Bravo. Austin cleaned up some examples in this new less boilerplate approach that we have, where you still can have your customization for the global allocator, but almost all the time you won't need that. And so there's the ability to do that, but our examples don't need to show that you have this extra line of boilerplate every single time. That's a kind of a smaller contribution from Austin, but that I wanted to include that here. I did a little bit of work on the simulation test for the Rust SDK docs, which will get a proper domain soon. Here is the link for now, and maybe I'll update this as soon as we secure that domain. So this can be used, especially if you need to do some quick cross-contract call tests and whatnot. Of course, Sandbox will be the preferred way, but it is still sort of alpha, especially in UX. And let's see, Austin published a section also for the SDK docs, linked here. Austin's done some work with the Borscht RS. And also, I'm not sure if we will have some sort of lunch and learn or something about this, but Austin's been doing a lot of like deep dive into what is the cruft inside of Near SDK RS? How can we reduce contract size and gas and all of that? And this really neat project that he's got. I won't like attempt to explain it here, and maybe there'll be a really fun session that we can go over that at some point. Oh yeah, and actually this is what I'm saying is in progress, and it's called Nesdi, which is super cool. Linked it here. Oh yes, and lastly, this is like in progress, like on the cusp of like being public. I can't wait for this to happen. But Josh Quintel and Serhi have been working on the near CLI proposal. Basically, I think a lot of folks from the community have ideas on what is great about the CLI, what can definitely be improved, how they want to use it for scripting, how we want to have it be modular. There's a lot of thought that went into this proposal for like how we want the CLI to look. It's kind of been thrown around a bit internally, and so this will be migrated to the governance site. And as I've mentioned in videos, I'll mention here again, it's just gov.near.org. This will likely be under a category. If you scroll down, there's like a one for development. It's probably going to be right here under proposals, right here. So look for that coming up super soon. And we would love to get some input from all stakeholders, people who are from any kind of blockchain, got knowledge about CLI, whatever. So that's going to be very informative to how we do things, including, the sandbox that we just talked about. It's very possible that that's going to be a part of the CLI too. So yes, these are the updates for the past week. Does anyone want to add anything to this? I need to have more media. I need to have like embedded YouTube clips or something. This looks a little bit boring, huh? Have a little knock joke in here somewhere.
Definitely need some Easter eggs in here.
Yeah.
I think the only thing is just, like I guess the other thing to be added here is just the moving towards the next release for the Near SDK, which is probably going to happen like hopefully early next week or at the end of this week if we can pull in the last few PRs. And then the other thing that came in was the account ID changes, so that it's not just like a VEC-U8 anymore, it's the actual type. But yeah, that's all included in the release.
Awesome, thank you. Yeah, that's super good to note, like especially this one. We are really looking forward to fleshing these out, and this is something that we internally are looking at very consistently. So yeah, these are going to be the 4.0 changes for the Near SDK RS, and it's going to be great. And we'll make sure to update the examples both in the Near SDK RS repo and on the near.dev examples, the ones that are written in Rust, we'll make sure that these are all reflecting the new ways that we do this. So yeah, thanks for bringing that up. And
I'll probably like kind of say one thing about this, which is that this list is probably not as complete as the one that's in the changelog. The one in the changelog has like all the changes. This just includes some of the kind of API paper cuts that are kind of hard to use, but there's still some other changes that would be worthwhile to note. And all like the breaking changes that affect users will be.
yeah, thank you for noting that. And actually, this is sort of a new thing. We haven't really been that stringent on having the change log. Is it? Here it is. Yeah. So this is something that is like kind of new, having a couple of Rust stations on the team now. And so yeah, please do check this out. And I will link this in the description of the video too. Thanks for pointing that out. Nice.
Sorry, I cut there out there at a second. I don't know what got cut off, but
Cool. Well, yeah, as always, we can be pinged on Discord, near.chat. We'll direct you there. You can always like tag me if I'm not seeing your post. But yeah, this is the update, and looking forward to jamming through this. A lot of good stuff coming.